Hi, everyone. It's Tanya Hertz here, and we are going to look at some trends that have an impact on job performance. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. And some of the key trends that we will look at are the shift in the types of jobs that we are engaging in here in the United States. So we have shifted more towards cognitive work, knowledge work, and away from manufacturing in this country. So knowledge work is any job that involves our cognitive abilities, cognitive activity, and cognitive means our brain, right? And so it involves thinking rather than doing. So cognitive jobs are becoming more prevalent than jobs involving physical labor. We have shifted away from building and doing and more towards analyzing and thinking. And as a result, our employees are being asked to be better thinkers. They have to work quicker, learn always, and be more theoretical and analytical in their approach to problems rather than just memorizing how to do a certain task and then doing it over and over again. We've also shifted more towards service and away from a goods economy. So service workers, they do have a direct interaction, typically, almost always with the customers. That's what the nature of service work is. Now, that said, that means that when there are problems with our employees, when there's a bad performance, the results and the costs are more immediate, right? It's more obvious when an employee is a bad performer in service work as opposed to in a production or in a manufacturing type job, right? The customer very often doesn't even know when an organization has bad performers when there's when you're in a much less context or a less of a service job, when a goods type job. So it's very important that we focus on job performance a lot more now than ever, right? It's service work. It's becoming the new norm. It's the fastest growing sector of the economy. Most of the jobs that are created are likely to be service jobs, and it's so important that we focus in service jobs on those employee performance, on job performance, on citizenship behaviors, on reducing counterproductive behaviors, and improving the task performance. So how do we do that? Well, we use different tools for managing job performance. We can manage by objectives. We can use 360 feedback systems. More and more organizations are using social networking systems. We can use bars, behaviorally anchored rating scales, and then something that I'm not a big fan of, but it's still being used in some organizations today, is a forced ranking system. And well, we'll get into it, but I recommend a combination of different performance metrics. All right, so let's start by defining what they are. MBO is managing by objectives. Now, remember at the beginning of this section, we talked about looking at job performance, not by looking at the objectives of the job performance, but looking at the behaviors of job performance. Well, when you're managing by objectives, you're not looking at behaviors, you're looking at objectives. You're looking at outcomes, you're looking at goals, and did employees achieve those goals? So this would be something like a manager and the employee would meet and say, okay, these are the goals for this quarter, this month, this year, and they would then meet again periodically to assess whether or not the employee was meeting the objectives. I actually like managing by objectives, but not when it's only management by objectives, because it misses out on that large component that we talked about before of job performance, and that's behaviors. And it's difficult to tell somebody, if the objective is sell more, I don't know, let's say you're a company that sells soap, sell more soap. Well, how, right? Without looking at behaviors. But they are effective, and they can be a good tool to use to make sure that the employees are meeting their goals, as long as you combine them with BARS, behavioral anchored rating scales. So BARS look directly at the job behaviors, and they use critical instance to develop performance on, essentially it's like a Likert scale. So there's a good, fair, good, excellent, and then poor performance. And the employees and the managers all know what different types of performance should look like. And then the supervisors will typically rate the employee across a spectrum of different behaviors. And then the employee can improve on different dimensions or performance that's that's not up to par. And like I said, I like to combine them. BARS can complement MBOs, management by objectives, by helping the employees to see why didn't they achieve an objective? Why didn't they sell enough soap? So here's an example of a BARS scale. This is for a company. What is this? So these are the anchors, right? These are the anchors. And yeah, this looks like this is for a job. Yeah, I'm reading the different job. It's a pretty vague one, but the important thing to remember is that in a BARS, when you're using BARS, it's a good idea to, you have to link the behaviors to that job itself. So it starts with the job analysis, and then you look at the critical most frequent, most important job behaviors, and then you create BARS for those job behaviors. All right. So another tool that we can use is a 360 feedback tool, and this is a great tool to use to help employees to improve through feedback that's not just from the management. So 360, like it sounds, is coming from all directions. Feedback from, from anyone who has firsthand experience with that employee. So that could be subordinates, so people that work for the employee, people that work with the employee, peers. It could be customers. It could be supervisors. It could be, colleagues. Anybody who interacts with the employee. Now, this could be problematic and could create a little bit of hostility in an organization if you're not careful, because when you have employees ranking each other, if you don't explain to them that these are not, that they're there to help achieve goals and not used for performance evaluation, and it's not it's not competitive, then they can be really effective. But when an employee thinks that there's some sort of a competitive advantage to making somebody else maybe look bad, especially when you have more entry-level employees or low cognitive ability type employees, then there can be some animosity and some unethical behaviors on the part of employees. But for the most part, it's fairly positive, right? But yeah, it's better suited to use as developmental rather than evaluative tools, because sometimes there's some bias. So I don't like these forced ranking systems. I include them just so that you know about them. They're also called grading on a curve or ranking yanks. And I don't love a pure rank and yank. It's almost like pure capitalism. It's not effective without some sort of temperament or tempering of it. But just so you know what they are, a rank and yank vitality curve is a system that was it was created actually by Jack Welch at GE, and he was really used it in its purest form, where they would group employees according to 3 categories: the top 20, the vital 70, and the bottom 10. And managers were forced to differentiate people and put them into one of these three categories. The top 20 were the people to watch. Those are the ones that would be eventually be in executive positions in the organization. The vital 70 were the ones who kept the organization going. They were vital for success in the organization. The bottom 10 were the poorest performers, and they would be fired. Every single year, they would be fired, right? They'd fire 10% of their workforce. And this is why I don't love this type of a system, because you can see, well, it's expensive for one. And if you hire the best and the brightest, why do you have to force people into the category of that bottom 10? I mean, a modified system can be effective, somewhat effective, but it does definitely breed a competitive environment wherein people are feeling like they have to outdo their colleagues, and it's not the best environment for a collaborative work environment, and it's really kind of old-fashioned thinking, where there's that scarcity mindset instead of the abundance mindset, where people feel like, if I get more, you get less, and I don't love it, but that's what it is. So a lot of managers are also using actually social networking systems to manage employees and to monitor employees, to provide feedback to employees. I really love the integration of social networking in management. There's a lot of issues that go along with this, and we can talk about them. And I'm sure you can think of some as you're going forward, but or just when I say this, but social networking used effectively can be an effective performance management tool. We can use, I personally, we just at the Rec Innovation Lab, we just created our own sort of social networking platform. It's called the Rec Connect, and it's a platform wherein people can talk with one another, can collaborate, can share goals, can give feedback. And it's a great way to encourage employees to help one another and to behave collaboratively, and to form informal teams and formal teams. And it's an excellent, there's a world of possibility out there surrounding these social networking sites. And that's that for job performance. And I hope that you found this interesting. And I will say this about job performance, and we didn't say it at the beginning, but job performance is one of those critical outcomes that we look at a lot when we're looking at human behavior and organizational behavior. And we really just want to see how can we affect performance, because it is so critical. It's so critical. Job performance and organizational commitment, those are the two primary outcomes that we look at more than any other. Anyways, have a good one. I'll talk to y'all later. Take care.